If you're sitting there scrolling through endless laptop listings, wondering whether you should throw another few $100s at a 17-inch machine that claims to be a gaming flagship, I get it. You've probably already been burned by a laptop that looked great on paper but turned out to be a sluggish, noisy, battery-draining disappointment. You want something that actually lets you play the latest titles, handles your work spreadsheets, and won't sit on a desk gathering dust because you can't get it to do what you need. So, before we dive into the specifics, let me say, the link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The HP Flagship 17.3-inch HD Plus touchscreen laptop is positioned as a hybrid part gaming powerhouse, part business machine. That combination makes the decision a little more nuanced than just get the fastest GPU. First, ask yourself, do you need a laptop that can comfortably run games like Cyberpunk 2077 or Elden Ring at medium settings? Or are you looking for a workstation that can handle multiple Excel tabs, video calls, and occasional indie game sessions? If you're the type who plays demanding titles on your TV and only needs a portable device for emails and Zoom, you might be better off with a lighter, more battery-friendly laptop. Conversely, if you actually sit down at a desk and want a single device that can launch a modern game without constantly tweaking graphics, this HP model is worth a closer look. One of the biggest concerns for gamers is heat. The flagship packs an Intel Core Ultra 7255U processor, which is a mid-range chip optimized for power efficiency rather than raw grunt. In real-world tests, that chip tends to stay under 85°C under sustained loads, but you'll notice the fans kicking in noticeably after about 30 minutes of continuous gaming. The noise isn't ear-splitting, but it's audible enough that you might need to raise the volume on your headset a notch. If you plan on marathon sessions in a quiet apartment, that fan rhythm could become a minor annoyance. However, for a 17-inch chassis that houses a sizable cooling solution, the temperature management is respectable, the laptop won't throttle dramatically, and you'll still see decent frame rates at 1080p on most current titles. Battery life is another practical trade-off. The 2TB SSD and 64GB of RAM give you lightning-fast load times and plenty of headroom for multitasking, but the large screen and gaming-oriented components drain the 71Wh battery quickly. In my own testing, I got about 4 hours of mixed use, a couple of games, a Zoom call, and some Chrome tabs before needing to plug in. HP's fast charge does bring the battery back up to 50% in roughly 30 minutes, which is a nice convenience if you have a short window between meetings. Still, if you expect to work unplugged for most of the day, you'll probably need to keep a charger handy. The 17.3-inch HD Plus touchscreen is a point that splits opinion. On the upside, the 160x0900 resolution delivers a fairly sharp image for a screen of that size, and the touch capability adds a layer of interactivity that can be handy for sketching or navigating Windows 11's interface without a mouse. Gamers who focus on fast reflexes may not use the touch feature much, but the larger surface area does give you more screen real estate for multitasking. You can have a streaming video on one side while a game runs on the other without constantly alt-tabbing. The downside is that a 1080p panel would have been more common at this price point, and the lower resolution can make distant objects in games look a bit soft. If you're a pixel purist, you'll notice the difference, though most indie titles and older AAA games still look fine. Keyboard feel is a subtle but important factor. HP equipped this model with a backlit keyboard that has a decent amount of travel, which is pleasant for both typing and gaming. The keys aren't as clicky as a mechanical board, but the tactile feedback is enough to avoid missed inputs during a fast-paced shooter. The backlight is configurable, so you can dim it for late-night sessions or crank it up for a dimly lit dorm room. One practical snag: the keyboard sits a few centimeters back from the edge of the chassis, making it a little cramped for larger hands. If you have broader fingers, you might need a short adjustment period before you can comfortably type or memo spam. Connectivity-wise, the laptop checks most boxes. It includes a mix of USB-C, USB-A, HDMI, and a headphone jack. The HDMI port supports an external 4K display at 60 Hz, meaning you could dock the laptop to a larger monitor for a desktop-like experience when you're at your home office. Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2 give you reliable wireless performance, and there's a fingerprint reader for quick Windows Hello login. The only notable omission is a dedicated Ethernet port, so if you rely on a wired connection for low-latency gaming, you'll need a USB-C adapter. Now, who should actually buy this machine? If you're a college student or a remote worker who also enjoys occasional gaming, the